we continue to follow that tragic breaking news in Waltham. The DA confirming in the last 10 minutes that a Waltham police officer and a National Grid worker are both dead after being hit by a vehicle tonight. The officer identified as Paul Tracy, a 28-year veteran of the police department. This is video of the scene on Totten Pond Road from earlier tonight. 2 other National Grid workers were also hurt. After the officer was hit, the DA tells us the suspect threatened another officer with a knife and then stole that officer's cruiser. The suspect eventually crashed the cruiser and was taken into custody.
And here's a look at the medical examiner's office in Boston, where the officer's body is expected to arrive soon. It's coming from Leahy up in Burlington. Officers, firefighters, and other first responders lining up to pay their respects. I'm Mark Ockerblum.
And I'm Vanessa Welch. The investigation continues tonight. We want to give you a better idea of where all of this happened. It was here on Totten Pond Road. That's a very busy part of Waltham.
We have live team coverage on every angle of this tragedy. We begin with Boston 25 News reporter Drew Caritas. He's live in Waltham for us right now. Drew.
Mark, Middlesex District Attorney Marian Ryan calling this an unimaginable tragedy, I should say, identifying the Waltham police officer who was killed as Paul Tracy, a 28-year veteran of the force, and also confirming that a National Grid worker who was injured here has died from his injuries. He has not been identified. Take a look at the scene that continues to unfold behind me. Since we last saw you at 10 o'clock, the pickup truck involved in the crash has been towed from the scene. We're just now learning from investigators that the suspect took off on foot and allegedly used a knife to steal a Waltham police cruiser from an officer nearby.
When I peek out the window, there was like a cop car that was flying, I don't know, maybe 85 miles an hour down the street.
The initial sight of a Waltham police cruiser flying past Natalie McMillan's home was the first indication of trouble. Cell phone video shows authorities chasing that cop car that had just been stolen down the street.
141, he's taking my cruiser.
Moments later, the cruiser crashed on Winter Street, and the suspect tried to run off.
My dad texted me, he was like, lock the doors, like there's someone that's armed.
Police say that suspect had just been involved in a hit-and-run crash while behind the wheel of a pickup truck on nearby Totten Pond Road, damaging multiple vehicles, including a National Grid utility truck. Police say 3 utility workers were hurt. Boston 25 News sources tell us a police officer working a detail there was also critically hurt and died from their injuries. Sources say that's when the suspect stole a police cruiser and peeled off before crashing again about a half-mile away.
The traffic was backed up. A lot of confusion. I was trying to piece it together. I'd been inside and out trying to figure this out.
Boston 25 News drone video shows the aftermath from overhead of the horrific crash scene, as investigators are still working to connect the dots of the initial accident that ended in tragedy, with news now spreading of an officer who did not survive.
So sad for family and friends and the devastation that this is going to bring, the shock, and for the police force, this is just so sad.
And within the last 10 minutes, the suspect who was captured after crashing that stolen police cruiser was identified as Peter Simon. He's expected to face 2 counts of manslaughter and 1 count of armed robbery, and is expected to be arraigned tomorrow in Waltham District Court. We're live in Waltham. Drew Caritas for your local station, Boston 25 News.
Drew, such a tragic series of events that unfolded behind you tonight. Thanks for that report.
Let's bring in our John Monahan now to continue our team coverage from the medical examiner's office in Boston, where the officer's body is expected to be brought in shortly. John?
Vanessa, we hear the body should be here in the next 5 to 10 minutes. And as you can see behind me, a sea of blue lights down Albany Street here in Boston. A line of police cruisers waiting here in tribute and a solemn farewell to fallen Waltham officer Paul Tracy. Now, these cruisers were here earlier tonight, but were told to stand down. That was because the medical examiner still needed to go up to Leahy Hospital to retrieve the officer's body. Now, cruisers are back as we expect the arrival of that hearse carrying Officer Tracy's body very soon. The hearse was initially expected to be here at about 9 o'clock, but as I told you and Mark earlier, a source tells me it was delayed at first so the fallen officer's family could spend some more time with him. Now, besides Boston police out here tonight, we see officers from other cities and towns, local universities, Massport was here. We also see some firefighters all out here to pay their respects tonight, facing the direction they expect this hearse to come. If you come right off through the tunnel there off the Mass Pike, they'll be coming from that section of Albany Street right here to 720 Albany, where the chief office of the medical examiner is. Now, we often see a massive show of support like this. It's common in the Brotherhood of Police, a common sight for officers who are injured. They come here where we are, also right across from Boston Medical Center. It has a level 1 trauma center here. Officers often taken if they are hurt in the line of duty, but also when people who are killed in the line of duty are taken to the chief medical examiner's office, as Paul Tracy's body will be arriving here shortly. We'll be here and keep you posted on the arrival. It should be in a few minutes, and we'll be here to bring that to you. Live in Boston, I'm John Monahan for your local station, Boston 25 News.
John, is a reminder of the officers who put their lives on the line for us each and every day, and we are just grateful for them. Thinking of him and his family tonight.
Certainly are. John, thank you. We'll check back with you shortly. And let's bring in Jason Law now. He continues our team coverage live from the National Grid headquarters in Waltham with reaction from the company tonight.
Yeah, Mark, just moments ago, you heard it on our air. The district attorney pointed out that this is just an example of how dangerous it can be for these workers on the side of the road. The death of that National Grid worker, that 36-year-old, was confirmed just moments ago by investigators. Earlier tonight, a National Grid company spokesperson did send us a statement around 6:30 that read, in part, quote, earlier today, members of a National Grid crew working in Waltham were struck by a vehicle driven by a member of the public. At least 3 team members were injured and transferred to a local hospital. Preliminary indications are that at least 1 employee suffered serious injuries. Our thoughts are with the crew members, their families, and loved ones. Again, we now know that worker who suffered serious injuries lost his life, a 36-year-old man from Cambridge. His name has not been released by investigators tonight. We're live in Waltham. I'm Jason Law for your local station, Boston 25 News.
Jason, interesting you point that out because these workers are out and about all the time. You got to use caution in that area. This is a different circumstance, but we have to keep them in mind, and certainly the 36-year-old worker who lost his life today. Appreciate it. Waltham police paying tribute to their fallen officer. Just before 9 o'clock tonight, the department changed their Facebook profile photo, and as you can see right here, there's a thin black line over the Waltham police badge. We'll continue to update you as new developments surface in Waltham, and of course, you can find the very latest on BostonTwenty5News.com.